Good morning. We're going to start promptly. We have a very busy session this morning. At TNC this year we have about 5 sessions that all, in one way or the other, address cloud services. So this is the first one, and it's sort of setting the scene for the rest of the conference on what we're going to be talking about for clouds. In this session, we've organized it in a rather peculiar way. We have the GEANT cloud strategy, cloud delivery team, which will be presenting their work to you. This is one talk divided into 4 parts that gives the overview of how NRENs are working together in GEANT to deliver cloud services to their user base. Then we will have, this session will be led by Andres, this talk by Andres Steyart from SurfNet, who is the activity leader in GEANT for cloud services, along with his team members, task leaders, Fulvio Galeazzi from GAR, Panos Louridas from HEAnet, and Branko Radojević from HEAnet over there. They will each have 10 minutes each to talk about what they're doing to support cloud services in GEANT. Then we will have Ronan Byrne, the CTO of SurfNet, of HEAnet, who will be talking about the national perspective of HEAnet in delivering cloud services. And that will last around approximately 20 minutes. This brings us to an hour, which means we have 30 minutes left for a moderated discussion, which will be led by Andres, with the contribution of 4 cloud service providers, being Box, Microsoft, Green Cloud, and Cyient and Nuben. These 4 suppliers will have a minute each or 2 to introduce themselves, and then there will be a moderated discussion from Andres with the panel and with you. So we'll just start. So I'll hand over to Andres from SurfNet.
Thanks, Roberto. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us in this great session where we'll be talking about clouds. As Roberto said, we'll be talking, but we hope you'll be talking as well, because we want to have a discussion about clouds with you to see how we can work together as NRENs to deliver cloud services with the right conditions of use to our community. And we are collaborating, as Roberto said, in GEANT as a collective on delivering these services with the right conditions of use. And in fact, 40 NRENs are collaborating closely on this topic. So maybe many of us are here, or maybe that everybody who's working on this can maybe raise his hand, because many people of the team are here. And look at this. As you can see, we've got a substantial group of people that is collaborating in this project to deliver cloud services. Now, why are we doing this? It's because of our users. Our users are tech savvy, online all the time. They want to choose their own devices. They want to choose their own services. And clouds are simply the most efficient way to deliver those services. In the old days, in the dark days, you had to print software on CD-ROM, ship them, resell them, and our universities had to install that software on their own servers, and then our users could finally tap into them. Now with clouds, it's on the internet, and via our powerful network, it's just there. So clouds are very good for fast delivery. However, there are also concerns. There's a concern about trust, because we put something very valuable, our data, outside of our own organization. And there's a question of control. In fact, yesterday I phoned my family to ask them how they were doing, and my 6-year-old daughter said, "Daddy, I'm doing fine, but there is a problem. Netflix is down." Oh my God, Netflix is down. And she said, "And there isn't anything I can do about this." So she nicely summarized the lack of control that we have with cloud. So I said to her, yeah, honey, that's the cloud. That's the cloud. That happens sometimes, right? So that story of my daughter shows that as an individual user, or as an individual institute, you simply don't have the size nor the expertise to bring a cohesive, well-coordinated and well-connected experience. And that's why we are collaborating as a NREN community. We need to do this together to deliver clouds with the right conditions of use. And that's what we're doing in GEANT, to empower ourselves really as NRENs to deliver these services. And my colleagues will be talking about this in more detail to you. I want to zoom in on 3 essential beliefs that we have for delivering cloud services. The first one is choice. With 10,000 institutes and 50 million end users in our European NREN community, there are many different tastes, needs and flavors. Some people like Coke, some people like Pepsi, right? So we want to deliver many different services to our community, both from public cloud providers as from community cloud providers. And also we want to connect them well together, because we are an open community, much more so than commercial organizations, which are much more silo-based. We need to collaborate together, and these cloud services should be able to do this. And the third one is very important. We need to bring a safe and secure working and learning environment. So data security is really paramount. Now, how are we doing this? How are we working in GEANT to deliver this? We do this in 5 tasks. Fulvio will be telling you after my presentation about how we are working on the organizational shift to adapt as NRENs to this cloud delivery model, and how we are doing joint cloud production efforts. Mirek, who couldn't be here today, he's at the EGI meeting. He is leading our task to deal with cloud standards that bring interoperability, to have that well-connected experience. Branko will update you on our vendor engagement, how we work together as a collective to let vendors comply with our needs, and also recognizing the fact that we as NRENs are the ones that deliver in each of our respective countries. And Panos will update you on how we connect capable cloud providers to our infrastructure. And Michel, I didn't forget you, because besides clouds, we are also working on mobile. We are doing a joint procurement on 3G and 4G mobile. That's a different topic, but it is in our activity, so I definitely wanted to mention this as well. There are 3 essential elements in connecting cloud providers to our infrastructure. The first one is conditions of use. Branko will tell how we work as a collective to put these conditions of use in place. The second one is about edugain and AI infrastructures, making sure that our users can log in with their trusted institutional account into all these cloud services. One account, many clouds. And the third one is to leverage our network and to peer with these cloud providers. So these are the 3 essential connection elements in our work. And also, this is important, there are 2 types of NRENs. You got the NRENs that say, I want to broker commercial cloud services and make them available with the right conditions of use. And there are NRENs that say, I want to produce cloud services. There are also NRENs, of course, that want to do both. We work as GEANT community on both these aspects because we feel public cloud services and community cloud services are both relevant for our community. Now, how have we been doing in the first year? We have been working together on clouds now for 1 year in GEANT, and we're doing fine. We made great progress. I think the most important element that there is a great willingness by us as NRENs to do this together. That's great. And we got a baseline in place. Branko will update you on this, how we can deliver these cloud services via the NRENs, via you, to your community. And we already made a strong first effort with a first wave of providers, and some of those are here today. Thank you for this. Also, Fulvio will tell you about how we are working on cloud production efforts. And in Michel's task, we have 5 NRENs that are collectively trying to procure 3G and 4G mobile services, which is also great. There are also challenges. This is a new topic, cloud, and it needs new skills, new business development skills, because the cloud distribution model is different from the old way of working. And that expertise is quite hard to find within our community. So everybody that knows something about clouds, join us, please, in that GN Cloud team. And we want to help you as NRENs to improve your position to be able to deliver those services to your community. So we only can do this if we work together, guys, and let's talk about this here today. I want to thank you. Looking forward to the discussion, so please join us there. And now, Fulvio, if you go ahead. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. So I will update you very quickly on what task 1, called Cloud Strategy, is doing. But first, with respect to what Anders was saying, let's take a step back and think a little bit. Cloud is the latest big thing which is affecting our users, actually any user, in particular, specifically NREN users. Do NREN need to care? Well, the cloud is about services to be used anywhere from any device. By its very nature, it's something which is transnational. But also our user community, higher education and research, is progressively engaging into large borderless collaborations. Also in sectors where this was not the case. I mean, physics is obvious to anyone, but in any other sector, researchers are doing the same. So already for these 3 points, I would say that yes, definitely, we need to care about clouds, both individually as an NREN and as an NREN community. But this brings a number of questions, a number of topics up. It's time for changing for NRENs. NRENs need to evolve from mere connectivity to providing services over the wire. This is something which is not in the genetic code of each and every NREN, and probably means that NRENs need to redefine users. One thing is connecting a department or a university or a research group. One thing is connecting users. Which kind of, how do you interface with users? Where do you stop going down to the user level? So which kind of services do users find appealing and want to use? How do you propose them, considering that there's a number of possibilities around and the user can choose and will choose? And what is the impact on the NREN organization in terms of skills of keeping the technology pace and so on? So this medium-term perspective has led to the creation of SA7 within GN3. From the JAC report, which I think dates back a few years ago, we have read statements like, the networks must evolve into service-enabling infrastructures. So they have to grow beyond the network. And this is more recently reflected in the Horizon 2020 program, where the NRENs and GEANT are called to collaborate to offer collaboration, worldwide collaboration, borderless collaboration. So T1 is the task, which is sort of a glue of all other SA7 tasks. It needs to identify and describe the community, take a picture, what the community is doing, what stage of development it is, identify what are the needs, what are the capabilities, what are the goals, eventually. Investigate what the competence is available, what needs to be created. So as its concrete actions, it has the mandate to align their NRENs. It's not always easy to do this, we will see, but this is our belief that we can do something to align NRENs, with the ultimate goal of ensuring that the NRENs and GEANT hold a strong position in the cloud computing landscape, because we think we are the ones who best know our users and cannot specifically address their needs, which are very peculiar. And all of these will help to draw a strategy or provide the elements upon which GEANT and the NRENs can design their own strategy. So the first thing we did was a cloud questionnaire. Actually, this happened together with the Terena questionnaire, and we were really surprised by the very good number of respondents, which immediately showed how the NRENs are willing to collaborate. And this, of course, was focused on clouds. There was a Terena, in the Terena questionnaire, there was also a section on cloud, but was much more limited, of course, because that was broader. And I just popped here a few messages saying on the top left, about 40% of the NRENs state that the clouds are affecting them a lot or really much. The impact is high or very high, okay? And on the right, on the other hand, a rather small fraction, the blue one, the 15%, states that they are working on cloud in a well-structured manner. Many are working through individual projects, okay? Don't yet have a coherent way of tackling this. And in the middle, you see what are the services that people think that the user would like most. So file sharing, data carrying, disaster recovery, collaboration tools at large, like web conferencing, e-learning, and so on. And in the bottom right corner, you see that there is lots of grays. Andres was mentioning that there is clouds who want to broker services produced by commercial providers or from the community, and and NRENs that want to produce their own services. Actually, there is also gray areas in between. So it's a matter also of integrating these different pieces together. So the main outcomes of the questionnaire can be summarized as follows. This is the right time to act, because cloud is happening now, and the NRENs are just now moving and doing something about this. It's also obvious that NRENs have different degrees of experience, but they are willing to work together. As I say, there is producers, consumers, and integrators. NREN are perceived as a trusted party by users and by other NRENs. And the services that the NRENs and users are mostly interested in are integration of authorization, authentication, infrastructure as a service, and data stuff. But now, so given that the landscape is so varied, can we really do something to align all these NRENs? They are very different from one another, from funding for the mandate they have to serve users. So there is no single right way of doing this. But there are multiple paths which are possible. So the last point I want to say is that the question is served for inspiration for all other work within SA7. Now, and the next thing, so based on the picture where we are now, we started thinking, okay, can we draw a strategy? Or better, can we provide the elements by which NRENs will draw a strategy? They are so different, but they have something in common. So we want to not just provide a collection of learn by example, nice stories from others who have had success, but draw a path, yeah, which helps ask the right questions and then design your own path. So, and the pillars of these are NREN specificity, look at the environment, meaning political environment, who is funding you, what is your mandate, what are, whether there are other research institutions who have some mandate which deals with cloud and you will have to interact with them and so on. What is your relation with commercial providers, what is the impact on your organization? And try to fit all these in a process. So set the goal, identify a strategy, then review and iterate. Okay. And then the last thing I want to mention is that since year 2, so since a couple of months, we have a new work package aiming at aligning NRENs who are willing to produce their own services or operate services from their own premises. This work started with on cloud. A number of NRENs signed an agreement based on the Terrain framework agreement. And we want to explore not just the different architectures, saying, okay, you know, if you want, the underlying storage can be object storage or these or these. Yeah, this is sort of interesting, but it's not all of what we want to do. We also want to explore what it takes to make it a service. So in terms of monitoring or measuring user satisfaction, how you really operate the service. And then we will consider moving on to other products which are broad interest, like OpenStack, and or technologies, like how do you deal with encryption and security, not directly related to on-cloud. I mean, so we will spawn other subtasks which will explore this and align different groups of NRENs. I'm finished.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. So I was told to make a very short presentation, so I have the only one slide in it. But it will be a very complex slide, so I will walk you through it. So about the cloud brokerage and vendor management, we have a few vendors here sitting in the front row. We are working with them, trying to find out what they are hiding from us and pulling everything outside. They are smiling, as you can see. So we know, as you heard before, that we have 50 million end users somewhere behind the system. And we also know that we have some cloud vendors that want to sell something to these users. And that we feel this is okay. They are having their services. They want to sell that to our users somewhere. And they want to make money, of course. And we feel this is okay if we meet 3 things that Andres already mentioned. That we want to write terms and conditions, we wish to have the network peerings, and we want to have authentication through the education system. Luckily, our users are not left alone. We have the institutions somewhere, like a small barrier in front of them, and then the NRENs protecting the institutions, protecting, let's say like that. Yeah. So what we have done in our task when we start to work with the vendors is that we really tried to work on the first thing, terms and conditions. So we found out the 4 big NRENs that are really forerunners in this area that already have implemented some services in their own networks. We work with them, we try to pull out what they are thinking about, what are the important things in the terms and conditions that we want to present to vendors as something that we all would like to have. So it ended up in the requirements in the area of intellectual property rights, ownership, legal experts, etc., that you can read here. Then we used a broader number of NRENs, around 10 NRENs, which we discussed again these requirements, and we tried to, in a way, harmonize all the requirements, say, okay, this is the baseline that all 10 NRENs, these NRENs here, are happy with. And there will be some differences, of course, because of country laws, because of the other things, but the baseline is here. So around that, we have produced a document. We used to call it a requirements document, and it is an official GEANT document. It is now called indicate the requirements for cloud service providers, but we listed all the requirements that we think that are the baseline of the requirements that these cloud vendors on the right-hand side needs to fulfill to be able to sell something to these 50 million users. So this is where we are now. We have completed this stage, document is here, we have distributed to the vendors, and they're very satisfied with that. And they said, okay, it is much easier to work with one entity, and that's being the GEANT Cloud team, than to work with the all separate NRENs running around and trying to find out what the NRENs would like to have. This document is available. If you wish to take a look, we can distribute it to you, of course. But we are now in the second phase, and this is the returning phase, how the vendors can come back to the users. And what we are doing now with the Dante procurement team is that we are producing the official invitation in official journal of European Union, inviting all the providers that would like to be listed in our cloud catalog to step forward and fill in the online questionnaire that we will, after that, check, work with them, etc. And in the end, all the providers that will go through this questionnaire will be listed in our, as we call it, GEANT Cloud Catalog on our website. This is something that you are doing now. We hope to match this in the next month or two. And in the end, what the NRENs can do with that information from the catalog? They can do whatever they want. Actually, they are aware of the services. They are already, in a way, harmonized with their needs. And what they will do after that, they can do procurement. They can procure just a single service. They can push this information toward institutions or toward the users, whatever they need. But we need a single place when all the services will be listed, and we feel that this is very, very important. I have a different question for all of you. Who is the fan of the Star Wars? Okay. Looking forward for movie episode 7? Probably no. No, because Disney, yes, I know. But I hope that you will find this, my second slide amusing. So this is all from me. Thanks.
Right, hi, I'm Panos Louridas, and I'm leading the task on cloud integration, where we take the thread from where Branko left it, and we try to make sure that the cloud vendors can make their service available to the GEANT community in an easy way, and also that the users can access the services in an intuitive way, and to be able to find all the services that GEANT is providing to them. So, as I said, we are as the other speakers have said before us, we are the fourth task, and perhaps we are the more technical because we are developing the infrastructure to make this possible, and we're working with the vendors in the technical aspects on how to publish their data to GEANT and how to make it possible for the users of GEANT to access the services. So this actually requires two things. First, it has to integrate the AAI, which is authentication authorization infrastructure, that the vendors use with the ones that we use in GEANT and the ones that the various federations in GEANT use and we are familiar with. And the second aspect is to publish the service themselves, so that the users and the NRENs know what services are available and know what they can use and know what they can ask for. In terms of authentication authorization, the basic idea is that users should be able to use the services using the existing institutional accounts they already have. So they should not have to sign up to the vendors using a separate ID, a separate set of credentials to use the services. If they have an account at the university, they should be able to use every cloud service available through GEANT with the credentials that they already use at the university. And this should be done in such a way that everybody is available to use them. So the way we do it is that we leverage the existing work that we have done, that GEANT has done, not us, in terms of building federations and federation of federations. The basic idea is that on the one hand we have all the services provided by the various cloud providers. We have a single identity management infrastructure, and then on the other hand we have all the entities that validate the users, which are the universities, the research centers, the laboratories, whatever the users belong to, and these to interoperate so that the users can get in and use the clouds, the services that are available to them if their institutions or the university or whatever, they have signed up for them. Now, to do that, we will use, as I said, the GN infrastructure, and we need a well-defined procedure so that when a cloud vendor comes to us and says that they would like to cooperate with us, we know what to tell them, and we can guide them through the necessary steps to make the service available to GEANT. So we have already defined the procedure. So when a cloud provider comes to us and they talk to Branko, for instance, and the other members of the team, at some point they come to us, to our task, and we guide them through the necessary steps, the technical steps that they have to undertake. This gives them instructions on what to do in terms of publishing the data to GEANT. We also provide them with test accounts because a cloud vendor exists outside the educational community. So we provide them with access to the educational community by giving them a test account in a virtual host organization that we have created at HEAnet, where I work for. And then once they implement the stuff they need to do in terms of identity management and all that, we advertise the service. And what we have decided to do is that we advertise it through GEANT. So a new service is going to be published to the rest of the GEANT community through GEANT, except if there are existing collaborations in place. For instance, we know providers that have already worked out collaboration with federations. So if the federations are okay, they can publish the data to the rest of the GEANT federation through the existing agreements. Now, the second part is the Cloud Service Catalogue, to which Branko already referred a bit. This is going to act as a single point of information, both for cloud services and providers and for users. First, it's going to be the place where cloud service providers can check the requirements that Branko's team has developed and check whether they fulfill the requirements. So the model is that they are going to get a red, green, or amber light on each requirement. So they go there, they get the list of requirements online, they don't need to do any paper shuffling. They check the way they fulfill the requirements, and then they publish this and then they push the form that they have submitted to us, which we check, and we verify that everything is okay, and then we publish the result to the Cloud Service Catalogue. So the overall workflow is going to be something like we publish an invitation for cloud service providers, which, as Branko said, we already did. The cloud service provider comes to us. They fill in the questionnaire. We take what they have filled in. We checked it. We also check it to make sure that everything's okay. And after everything's okay, we publish the result of each requirement and the red, amber, or green light, along with other details on the service on the Cloud Service Catalogue. Now, the Cloud Service Catalogue itself it's actually a piece of software. Okay, it's going to be a website that is going to provide access to the users and the service providers. So if a user in GEANT wants to see what cloud services are available through GEANT, they will go and visit the Cloud Service Catalogue. It's going to be like a shopping mall experience for them. So they're going to see what is available. They're going to see how the service providers meet the requirements that we have defined that they are important. And they will be able to choose also between the various service providers, because probably, and we hope, we will have different service providers providing similar services, but with different characteristics, so that they pick the one that is best for them. That means that they will have a variety of functionality. The cloud service catalog, the users will be able to browse for services because we hope and we expect to have lots of them. To filter down by category because some services may be down at the IaaS level, infrastructure as a service, some others may be at the platform as a service, some others may be at the software as a service, so they will be able to search and to filter the services that are available. It's important to be able to see what services are available to whom because cloud service provider connect through GEANT, but it doesn't mean that every institution in GEANT has access to every service. Probably they will have to reach an agreement with the cloud service provider, they will have to pay some money to access the service, etc. So the users will be able to see what's available to them. They will also be able to see what is not available to them, so they can contact their institution and ask them if it is possible to sign up also. So this is also a way for institutions and NRENs to check which cloud services are especially popular with the users so that they can guide their purchasing decisions. So work has already started. We already have a prototype, and we expect it to go live in the next couple of months. So this is not really vaporware. It's really going to happen, and it's going to be we hope, the standard way through which cloud services are going to be integrated into GEANT.
So that was the overview of the GEANT work on cloud services implementation and delivery. There's time for one quick question, keeping in mind that we are going to have a panel discussion at the end, in the last 30 minutes. So if you have a pressing question to ask this first set of presentations, please, you're welcome to ask one question, and then we'll move on to the... Is there any one question? Up there, yes?
So it's great you're pushing the cloud providers to educate, so +1 for that. But that solves the website. What about accessing actual cloud services at shell level?
Who would like to answer that one?
You mean at the GEANT level, the cloud service, unless it's free, somebody has to pay the cloud service providers. So it's one thing to have authentication, which is what the GN will do, and a different thing, which is authorization, if actually this user is allowed to use the service. If the hosting institution has not signed up with cloud service provider X, then they will get a message saying that your institution does not have access. I don't know if this answers the questions, but...
Almost. I'll take it offline.
Okay. All right, so I'll now introduce again briefly our second speaker, Ronan Byrne from HEAnet. Ronan is the CTO of HEAnet, responsible for network engineering, development and strategy. And he's going to give a national perspective of cloud service implementation and delivery.
Great. Thanks, Roberto. I think I'm on. Good. And thanks to the TNC committee for giving me this opportunity to talk about what we're doing locally. And I hope there's a... Am I going forward or backward? How do I do that?
It's a different slide.
Okay. But yeah, I hope you can see the continuation from what the SA7 group are doing, and we're active members within that, HEAnet active members within that. But really my presentation is more about how the individual NREN can get their head around the network as a service, infrastructure as a service, software as a service. That's my cake there. I was up all night making it. And you know, just because it's quite complex, so what I'm going to present here is a sort of a multi-layered cloud services strategy, which is a little bit simple, but it's allowing us to better organize ourselves and better organize our services model with how we do that. So a little bit, that's the structure, a bit about HEAnet. Why do we need a new strategy? What it means for a new services model, and then I'll just elaborate on two particular activities we're doing. One is a private community cloud proposition here in Ireland, and then a little bit about our brokerage activity, which fits hand in glove with what the chaps were saying earlier. So who we are? Well, we're Ireland's NREN, and it's quite fitting that we're in this institution today, UCD, because we were born out of UCD. Our former colleague and CTO, Mike Norris, came out of here with the likes of Dave Wilson, a very talented engineer. And in collaboration with 6 other universities in DIT, HEAnet was actually born out of UCD, so it's very fitting, and we're now in an evolution about cloud services as well. So there's a good story there. We're not for profit, and we connect all the universities, institutes of technology, and also 4,000 schools, which also relates to what we're talking about here. So why a new strategy? That's the question you ask yourselves when you're sitting down to plan these things. Well, I think our two plenary talks earlier this morning have articulated this well enough, but the combination of cloud and mobility, as you know, is just changing that anytime, anywhere access. That's giving way to new ways of learning. This is a nice photo of Commissioner Neelie Kroes and Lord Putnam, David Putnam, who will speak tomorrow morning, just sitting in one of our 100 megabit schools, which we connected probably 3 years ago, but the whole new way of learning in schools and so forth. That is empowering the user, as we've learned earlier today about consumerization. They're sourcing their own systems, but also how they access learning, be it through MOOCs or be it through bricks and mortars, attendance, and whether they want blended learning, customized learning, all that good stuff, against the backdrop of the constrained fiscal environments that we're in. That's probably politically incorrect, but there you go. It's the best animation I could get to do it. I think Ireland should be slightly bigger one than the rest, but never mind. But you get the sense. We're all cash-strapped, but that's a key challenge for the strategy. And just to add to the previous speaker across in the O'Reilly building, this particular MOOC caught my eye, or online course offering, if you want to call it that. It caught my eye because the price is $6,600. It starts in January of this year, and if you scroll down to that URL, you'll see the list of professors. You know, it's top-notch professors. But the walk-in price of this is about $45,000. But it's also been endorsed by AT&T, which I think is an interesting piece. Anyway, the world has changed, and that's just one illustration. So your strategic plan, what are the challenges that you're trying to address in your strategy? These, I'm sure it will resonate. Continued migration of resources into the public cloud. The cloud resources are accessible even without NREN connectivity, so what is our role? Ubiquity of quality mobile exacerbates all that. Consumerization, which I mentioned, which is they're not even resourcing to campus services or NREN services. They're going straight to Evernote, Digs, ResearchGates, their own sourced applications. And then the financial constraints and the big challenge of keeping it cost effective. So, bit of strategy speak, but your Michael Porters and your leading lights in strategy management would say, look at your value chain and see where can you add value in your value chain and your supply chain. And really there's a number of options here. One is the traditional private campus comms room, or private cloud, if you like, to use today's terminology. The private NREN community cloud, which I'll elaborate on shortly, and then the public cloud, which would also fit in with the SA7 cloud brokerage piece. So where can we add value in the value chain? Well, one is seamless connectivity, be it our own NREN connectivity, or be it Wi-Fi connectivity, or be it 3G, 4G. We want to help even broker 3G and 4G, which is what we're doing here in Ireland at the minute. Then that's wrapped up in seamless federated access and single sign-on. So you've got seamless experience across all these delivery chains, regardless of whether it's private, on the NREN footprint, or in the public cloud. Seamless roaming, which we enjoy here today in EduRoam. And then the brokerage to cloud services. We can add value there, even though we're not building the services ourselves. I'll elaborate a little bit on that. We've just issued a new strategic plan for the next 3 years, and these are just 3 of a number of success indicators, but it just reflects how the world has changed and how our strategy has changed from the previous 3-year strategy. Continue to be the trusted provider of network service. That's an obvious one. That's our core business. Be the preferred broker of cloud and other services. That's a whole new world for us. And then be the driver of identity federation, as was described as the glue that puts all those service offerings together. And into the wider public service. Here in Ireland, we're working with our government CIO office, and we've just helped them set up a pilot, a Samuel Shibboleth pilot in government. And then we're hoping that we'll all talk the same language and be able to interfederate with public services. So we arrive at a new services model, or cloud services model, if you want to use that terminology. And really this is just a simple model to try and explain and bring some clarity to the IaaS, SAS piece. So at the bottom of our inverted triangle, we all use inverted triangles, is the network. That's our core business. And that's the connectivity, it's the network futures, SDN, and so on and so forth. We then have a national infrastructure platform sitting on top of the network, which is your data storage, your storage, and your compute. We already do storage here, edu storage, cloud storage. And that is more traditionally what you might recognize on the NIST definition, National Institute of Standards and Technology, the NIST definition of IIS. But what we found here is we really need more delineation, because it's a very different business to running the network to running cloud services. So we're looking to separate them. And then that platform is then supporting a foundation for service to sit upon that, be it on the virtual compute or using the storage compute. So your VLEs, your exam systems can roll in at May time, your registration systems can roll in September time, and so forth, repositories, and whatever campus services that they want to position. And then a capstone, if you like, is brokerage on top of that, which is exactly what the SA7 team are doing, and we will continue to work closely with them. And in that catch-all is really license negotiations, which we have been doing in our contracts management piece, courtesy of Gordon McFeely, if he's about, talk to him, and content and publishing, but also procurement frameworks, legal templates, due diligence. We work closely with GEANT in that example to try and piggyback on their things. Federated access I position here because that really is brokering with the third parties. And peering I also position here because we do enjoy peering to Blackboard, and we're trying to do more peering. But ultimately that's your inverted triangle, and as you move up the triangle you interface with more people. So at the bottom layer you're interfacing with network engineers, the virtual compute is more researcher, and then application brokerage is really the mass population. But if you turn that triangle on its side, you then can see how you can possibly organize your organization structure. So using the same boxes, and we've started to do this within HEAnet, we now have a network business unit, an infrastructure business unit, and an applications business unit. And for those applications we don't build, we have a brokerage division. Because all these boxes need very different expertise, as we have found. So network engineers, we all know about that. Infrastructure, that's more cloud engineering and virtual compute. That's slightly different, a slightly different skill set, and quite a active market for that, very marketable people there. And in application, you're more into software development and so forth. And then brokerage is, product knowledge and negotiation skills. So your strategy and your module or your services model is informing how you actually organize your NRENs in our case. And then just to give you a sample of delivering across the layers, sticking to the same color scheme, last year we upgraded our optical national network. We're now planning the replacement of our layer 2 and IP equipment. Then jumping up to the infrastructure layer, we've been doing cloud storage, what we call edge storage, since 2013. We're just kicking off, we're about to start a proof of concept around a virtual compute, back to that in a minute. And then just an example of services, we now have a highly available Moodle offering, which sits on our platform. And video, just another one where we've offered desktop video conferencing for our community. And you can meet video outside in the exhibitor area. And then at the brokerage, again, just a sample of what we're doing up there. We've been working with O2, as it happens, for the past 6 years with regard to 3G, student and staff broadband. We're hoping to refresh that. We're in the process of that at the minute. And also this year we've taken in, again from this institution, funnily enough, IRL, which is an entity that manages online publications and e-library resources for researchers. And again, that's all about brokering and negotiation. That fits in our brokerage piece. So there's just a sample of how we are organizing ourselves and how we're organizing our people, and then you develop training and so on and so forth. So a little bit about our private community cloud. Apologies for the crude graphic, but this is the best I could do. So today's digital campus might look a little bit like this, with the cloud providers on the right-hand side and the old comms room on campus here. At the desire to reduce as much on-site and move as much to the campus. And no disrespect to any public cloud vendor, and not suggesting it's not fit for purpose. However, there are some considerations you need to consider, as the guys have touched on already. The usual ones we know about: physical location, your audit, your sensitivity, you throw your resource into the cloud. Those hops in between are now no longer managed, which means you don't have a service level agreement. Your latency becomes an issue. Interoperability and divergence happens. But other ones as well, data archiving. I saw billing come up earlier. That's an interesting one. The commercial viability of what are typically young cloud providers, which begs the question, how are you going to migrate? And I couldn't leave the slide without mentioning surveillance, which has been in every newspaper, I think, for the past number of months in particular. So our proposition, as just an alternative to public cloud, is a HEAnet private cloud. So private community cloud, sitting upon our managed network. Because we light our own network, we can secure a very private delivery channel. So why the NREN? Some of this you've seen already. It's a high quality network, it's non-profit, shared ownership, trusted, managed security, physical location. We know if you want to come in and kick your tin, you can audit it, you can embrace it, you can do whatever you like to it. Convergence and standardization, if you have it together, that suggests convergence. And then end-to-end SLA, that's very important, because if you break that chain by throwing it into the general internet, you've got no SLA in between. And I think controlling the full value chain is very important, especially when you start talking about things like SDN, where you're controlling it all the way up from the physical layer to the application layer. And then we're part of a family, which is the GEANT community collaboration, which was emphasized earlier. A quick graphic of what we're talking about by a national community cloud. It will be, and this will be, I think I'm safe to say, this will be based on an OpenStack installation. Is that right, Robert? Yeah, we've announced that. We've just announced this. It will be on an OpenStack platform. So it will be a platform for HEAnet's portfolio of services, which means we channel our expertise into one flavor of cloud. But it's also a platform for campuses to put their exam systems, registration systems. But I will also invite the third parties who are delivering services to campuses to consider our private platform. And once you have it converging, you then get your standardization coming out of that. Picking up on what the chap said earlier, standardization, you get your convergence, you get your economies of scale. Then you can talk about multi-tenanted solutions, concentration of knowledge. We don't want to be expert in every flavor of cloud. We want to get economies of knowledge. Minimizing vendor lock-in, that's a key piece. You should be able to move your application across agnostic to what stack is underneath. And interoperability and portability, particularly around SAML and the Open Cloud Computing Interface. And I just referenced the document the chaps put together on standards and interoperability, because we don't want to be different. We want to talk the same language. And our vision, if you like, for a multi-cloud environment, because we recognize it will be a multi-cloud environment, and you can put GEANT in this picture as well, as you have seen in the conduit to the public cloud. But you've got this variety of private cloud, community cloud, and public cloud, but through access through a single federated portal through our own EduGate. That's the brand we use for our federated access here, but then also EduGain, which then facilitates international access. And that gives you control of billing and quota management, which is what we hear is a key requirement from our clients. So by way of wrapping up, in fact, and introducing what we're doing at brokerage layer, just to reiterate, the model is, the foundation is the network, and that will be very strong, and we'll continue to develop our network engineering. We then have an infrastructure platform, which is a platform for a national private community cloud for an array of application services, which will be the NRENs portfolio, our own portfolio, but hopefully campuses will use this private platform as well, and there are third-party providers. And then a capping stone is the brokerage area. Just to explain a little bit about what we're doing there, and we have these already in place. So we're dealing with the likes of Office 365, we're about our campus agreement, similarly with Adobe. O2 is our 3G deal for students and staff. We've got Apple frameworks, we've got Dell frameworks, and the whole list of current agreements, including certificates, as an example from the Terena organization, which is very popular. We're talking to Amazon, and albeit they have quite a presence here, and a number of the big cloud providers have a significant presence in Dublin, it's difficult to get the momentum. So we would still, albeit we're only 1 mile away from Google and 1 mile away from Microsoft, we would still be looking to that collaboration of the GEANT group to get the bigger numbers than we can provide, even though we're local. But what we can do local is talk about peering, and we're doing that with Amazon. We continue to talk to Google. Blackboard, interestingly, we benefit from the peering with Blackboard in Amsterdam, because UCD would be one of the biggest users of Blackboard. But Blackboard, as I think I'm correct in this, joined the Irish Federation before any other in Europe, which was a significant coup for us. And then EduGain means we can all access the Blackboard facility. We talk to Box. Andreas' team are talking to Box, so we'll hope to do some there. We talk to VMware to try and simplify their licensing. GEANT, we leverage things such as the conference booking system. Vigio, I mentioned. And GEANT, we will be looking to the cloud catalog, because we're not going to build it alone. And then that we want to wrap up, which is another strategic identity, or strategic objective, which I mentioned, which is wrap it up in the cozy blanket of federated identity management through our own EduGate, and then internationally through EduGain. And that is all the layers doubled up. Okay?
So, thanks, Ronan. Time for one question for Ronan as well, if there is one. Per?
No. Okay, Mike?
I have one question. So how did you how are you financing your building out your community cloud?
Very good question. And I must say it's been difficult. And we initially we went out to tender with grander plans, more elaborate plans. But our directors and client groups told us, this is a risky business. Cloud is very immature. You know, there's lots of promises on data sheets which may or may not materialize. So what we've done, we've shrunk it back a bit to de-risk the financial investment and de-risk I would say, just the early, you know, immaturity of the market. And we really want to concentrate on building a proof of concept and prove that single portal, federated portal into campus cloud, private cloud and public cloud. The tender has identified OpenStack will be that piece, and I think that's there's quite a number of NRENs exploring in that space, so we're not alone. But the answer is we went out with grander plans and we came back and we've just recently awarded a smaller proof of concept piece with a limited capacity of VMs, for example, and then we'll build up the use case and then we'll see if that gains traction. So it's build it small and they will come.
Yeah, sure, but you need to have volume to be in this game.
Yeah, you need to have volume, but I think we're not endeavoring to compete with the public cloud vendors. And in fact, that diagram there would show you an API or a conduit to AWS services, for example. But what we're bringing to the table is the private cloud piece where you have that sensitive data that you really want private, but also the conduit for federated single sign-on and that billing and quota management, which you don't get. And some of the issues we hear on campuses such as this, our researcher has run up the bill or they've got their own budget and they've gone crazy on it. But with this single portal, we're trying to do some quota management and billing management, regardless if it's Amazon, Microsoft, or whatever VM you're spinning up. So that's what we're trying to prove with our proof of concept. So it's scalable for access to public clouds, but also we're stressing the private cloud piece as well and controlling that value chain, the managed security all the way up, and SDN and things like that. I think will make a difference there. Does that answer?
Yeah. Sure.
Cool.
Thanks very much. So now the last part of the session where we will have a panel discussion moderated by Andres with the involvement of 4 commercial cloud service providers.
I'll change the slides.
Yeah. So Andres, over to you. And could I also invite the previous speakers to sit in the front here? So.
Yeah. And now we can do 2 things. We can make a blue and a red corner with the vendors, but maybe we can mingle a bit. To show the collaborative spirit, everybody. Yeah, Kenji, good to see you. So instead of making a blue and a red corner, that's a bit, yeah. So we got 40 minutes left. That's good, because now we can talk clouds and we can all discuss about how we want to use clouds and the topics that we face. Before we do this, let's briefly get the vendors introduced. Kenji, if you would please, very briefly, 1 minute. Yep.
Hi, I'm Kenji Takedo. I work at Microsoft Research in Cambridge in the UK. I'm actually part of a global team in MSR working on a program called Azure for Research, where we're working with the research community globally to help them experiment with what good use cases there are for cloud computing. We currently are supporting over 200 projects worldwide. We have a call for proposals every 2 months, and I think last time we funded another 39 projects up to the value of about $40,000 each. And then we're running training. So we trained about 1,500 researchers worldwide in the last 6 months. Come and talk to me about that. We have a website, azureforresearch.com. So I'm here as a researcher. I can try and answer other questions. We are working with Andres and Shell and other people in what we call One Microsoft. So trying to be a bit more joined up in Microsoft to provide the research and education community with some good cloud services.
As Kenshin, I think the main two services are Azure and Office 365 that we are discussing with you. Yep, Gisli.
Hi, I'm Gisli KR. I'm from Green Cloud. We are a cloud solutions company based out of Iceland. We run a public cloud that we run out of Iceland, run by renewable energy. We have integrated that public cloud with SurfNet, with federated access. We are in discussions with GEANT to finalize an integration. We've done a few pilots with the University Network of the Netherlands and research institutions in the Netherlands. We offer a private cloud platform also, a private cloud platform built on top of CloudStack called QStack, which actually allows like quota and group management also. So,
thanks. I'll walk to the blue corner. Later. Oh.
So my name is Valerie and I'm joining you from Box today. We are a cloud content collaboration platform. We currently work with about 8 NRENs, both here in Europe and over in the United States. And since then we have started discussions with GEANT to also offer a cloud collaboration platform to the research and education community in the wider sense. So with that, I'll hand to Boris.
Hello to everyone. My name is Boris Denisov. I come from company. I represent company HEAnet. HEAnet company is a company that publishes and brokerage services, cloud services. So we are founded to serve research and education community only. The point of the company is to simplify contractor legal pricing models for your community. So the thing is, we are going to do business from one side with the service providers and the other side with you, and we hope with our services you will simplify a way you do cloud business. Thank you.
Boris, thanks. This is about you. So the next half hour, it's about discussing clouds together and the opportunity for you to ask questions to the panel over here to get things started. I want to know a bit more about you. Let's see how cloud savvy we all are. Do you use these type of services? Let's show a set of hands. I am using public cloud services like Dropbox, OneDrive, Box, what have you. Let's see. Okay. It's quite a number of people. And this one is interesting. In the debate between public and community cloud, does your NREN offer a community cloud storage service? That's a bit less. And I'm curious. The guys from Switch are on the front row. Simon, you for example, you like the Google stuff, right? Yeah. But Switch also offers a community cloud storage, and now that is in place, have you made a decision? You only use the community cloud product, or do you also use the public cloud? What is your usage?
So I'm probably not the right person to give a formal statement on Switch strategy. I've been friends, so you can so we currently, certainly my team, we're currently pursuing this this private community cloud building infrastructure approach. I think it's something we have to do one way or the other, because I see it as part of the larger skill set that will be necessary for effective ICT services in the future. How big the market is for this, or whether we have a sustainable niche for these services remains to be seen. So I will certainly try to be a fair competition for the commercial offerings, and not try to protect our services against what's available in the commercial world. I think that is the thing we have to keep in mind as some of us are going into this community cloud direction, that we should remain honest, and our customers will help us with that, I'm sure. They can always go and buy services from, or just use services from other people as they have done. And I think it remains to be seen what models will prevail in which areas. So I think it's a huge market opportunity. I see this as a big transformation going to these, whatever is called cloud. It's also very, very dynamic notion. So I'm not afraid of occupying this field together with many very good commercial suppliers.
Remains to be seen. That's a nice summary. Anybody else in the audience that has a strong opinion about this, about public cloud, community storage? Per, I'm not surprised. That's why we wanted to. That's why I wanted to have Per on the front row, of course.
Oh, this works, yeah.
That's your own microphone.
So, yeah, it's my own microphone. No. So yes, I agree with what Simon says, but what we need here is a predictable cost model. We cannot use the model of Amazon or Microsoft Azure as long as we have to pay for transactions, we have to pay for network connectivity. Our researchers and our IT departments need to have a predictable cost model. They need to be able to budget that for it to work. So what we have done in Sweden right now is we have supplemented these public offerings by actually tendered for a community cloud. We are not going to run it ourselves. We have a provider doing it for us. They are going to develop the components we need for it. And that will have a model where you only pay for what you use, right? And they don't pay for network connectivity. They don't pay for I/O. So, and we have a gentleman's agreement about how I/O is working in the setup. So that's also one thing you need to be aware of here when you talk about infrastructure as a service. You need to understand how it's built and what you can expect of the service. And the devil is in the details here.
Thanks. I think that's something the cloud providers have to. Kenji, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think one of the things when you talk about disruptive models, a lot of cloud is about disruptive business models, right? And certainly from a Microsoft viewpoint, we have a very holistic view. The world is hybrid. Okay, you're not going to put everything in the public cloud. Some people do, but on the whole, if you consider enterprises, so some of our largest customers, they just want to extend their internal network out into Azure, and they do that every day. And so I think, we try and understand that. We actually have a new thing which was only announced it's hard for me to keep track of things, called Express Route, where you pay for a network connection. It's a gig, it's flat fee every month, bundled in, unlimited inbound egress charges. So we are continuously developing some of the technology, the business models, the work with GEANT and Shell and Internet 2. We're developing those business models. So it's evolving, okay. But yeah, so that's why we're trying to work together on this.
So express routes. I mean, we also want this to be on our network. We also, I mean, as Ronan, right, told about, we need to see end-to-end connectivity here. We want to be where these providers are. That's the whole point. We have a network. We should use it, right? And we should be able to control the packets all the way to the end host here. And that's also one thing that we tendered for. It's going to be connected to our network, directly to our network.
So we've done that with GEANT with a dedicated 10 gig link from GEANT into Dublin. And we're talking to other network providers. And the express route is for any enterprise customer through an exchange or through a network. Again, it's brand new, so so we are, discussing as part of the community. We're not listening. We're working with the community because we try and be part of the community. So
thanks. Maybe one of the other providers wants to say something about this, Boris.
Thank you. The thing is, I would use this opportunity to offer to Microsoft the opportunity to go through our network, because we will be connected to GEANT directly, and if you need any of our services, it will be great. The thing is, about that infrastructure, I think infrastructure is something real, and it is today, but the cloud services, if you get in mind Gartner or IDC and analyze this Cloud services will go to simplify your life. So probably it will go in the direction of software as a service. As I saw your document, GEANT document, one of the focuses on it is to provide software as a service, just to shorten up the time to use something and just to simplify it by paying as you use. Our model, everything we will have in our portal, our model, it will be charged as you use. So for example, video conferencing will be price models so you can use it per usage. So I think we're negotiating with a few partners right now just to charge you the time used, not the user, not the annual license. So trying to simplify your life. That's the main goal the cloud is going right now.
Thanks, Boris. Gisli, you want to add to this?
So, what you said, I mean, to bring your own bandwidth to use the educational network to the cloud provider makes total sense, and that actually, with the help of NordNet, we did that for SurfNet, for example. But there's one pain point that you addressed earlier, and that is the cost. How are you going to pay for on-demand usage? And you don't have the visibility into the cost factor when you don't know what the usage will be and how much is going to be charged for that. When you have a model like that and you have a lot of users, the same applies to research and educational networks as companies out there. When you reach the scale of a certain usage, it makes sense for you to build your own platform and build your own private cloud. And that is one point that we have been addressing, for example, at Green Cloud, is that we are now allowing organizations to do that private cloud, even in a really small setup, and have actually the flexibility of using either public or private infrastructure, and using like industry standard APIs, for example, the Amazon APIs that apply to, for example, our solutions. So the private infrastructure gives you much more visibility into the cost factor. You have infrastructure that you own, you apply a software layer on top of that, and you know how much that's going to cost you for a long-term view. And then you have the burstability, but usually when it comes to fully utilized infrastructure, you have something that's specific that needs to be done in a very short period of time, and that probably has funding or a certain budget assigned to it.
Thanks, Gisli. Let's do another question. I'm going to skip those two because we discussed infrastructure already. This one is interesting. How strange are we as a community? How special are we? How are we as a community different from a regular organization? It's something that we want to ask to the cloud providers. What do you see? What is it that we ask? Is that different than what you see from other type of customers, other verticals? Valerie.
So I very much believe that there are a lot of similarities, both with the research and education communities and commercial organizations in terms of some of the trends that you're experiencing. So if we look at the fields that GEANT is looking to address, mobility, bring your own devices, all of those are very similar to commercial organizations experiencing those alike. There are differences. The funding models, the particular financial constraints are obviously all different. And I believe that any vendor working with the NREN community and the institutions themselves needs to accommodate those particularities and dig those out and really try and address those. I think that, yes, the needs might be similar, but your constraints are different, certainly.
Branko, is that what you find in doing the brokerage work? How strange are we?
Yes, we are not only strange, but we are also different between us, because a lot of our NRENs are quite different, going from public institutions to the companies, etc. So we also have different approaches, different needs, different things about the laws and the tendering, etc., etc. So this is also something that to take in consideration, since we are quite different one from another. And this is the reason why we tried really to harmonize our needs And they're saying this is the baseline that we need and present it to the vendors, and I believe that vendors are very happy with this approach.
Anybody in the audience feel strange?
Terry.
I want to comment on this. Okay, I'm going to walk up there to the back. You're all the way up there in the cloud, sir.
Thank you. I'm Sat Mandri. I'm from the New Zealand Access Federation to Ikiri. Now, this question is in relation to what's different out there. The National Federation operators and through the EduGAIN, there's a lot of work being done to reduce the complexity and improve the user experience and provide access to services like yourself in the cloud. What are you guys doing about it? Are you going to commit to EduGAIN and provide these services through that? Are you guys going to behave differently in different parts of the world? I come from Asia Pacific. I can speak for my part of the world. The providers, such as some of you out there, including Microsoft, behave very differently. So if you're going to be reaching out to and have a global reach out there in the R&E sector, you need to have a level playing field. Thank you.
I think I left the mic somewhere down there.
So happy to answer that. Certainly at Box, we do really aim at creating a level playing field, whether that's how we assist the Americas region, how we do it in EMEA, which is the part that I look after, or how we do it in APAC. And an example of this is that we will be using the EduGAIN Federation. For those here from NorgeNet, they will know they have a unified AAI strategy that they use with Box already. So the more standardization that you can bring as a community to us, I think we see as a very positive thing at Box to integrate with that and standardize as much as we can.
Thanks. A quick response?
Just lastly, we have made attempts to talk to some of you providers out there. They've just gone quiet and silent. They're scared of this thing. They're scared of EduGAIN, National Federation of Operators cutting into your markets, in the enterprise market. And that is the reality that we are facing in our region.
The thing is, I think that EduGAIN and central authentication system is a technological advantage that you can use in this society. That is one of the main things we implementing in GEANT and UBEM. We are trying to reduce those contractual and legal issues by simplifying one contract with us, one bill from us, and central authentication system. Those are three guidelines we are going to use. So I think that advantage of IE, central IE authentication, will be the best thing you can do.
Kenji, very quickly.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we're doing quite a bit of work on federated identity because we have our own, we do Active Directory federated services. So anybody using Office 365 is already doing, some sort of federation against our systems, and we're working with GEANT particularly, with EduGAIN and the federated identity community, CERN, for instance. So some of our technologies, Office 365, we've introduced SAML2 shibboleth support, and a lot of that was driven by the R&E community. And I think we really believe the reason that that I'm here is because we believe that research and education help to drive requirements for us, and this community is ahead of the curve in terms of what enterprise need. And that comes from some of our product group people, including people like our Active Directory team. So.
Thanks, Kenji. Garvin?
I'm going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons. So standardization of terms and conditions requirements is all good. What about standardization of price and cost? Yeah.
Thank you for that question. So certainly I know that some other products in the market have standardized education price lists, and that is something that Box certainly will work towards.
Let's do another question, guys. No? No? Yes. About feeling strange, or about this one? How many of the vendors support federated identity today? Can we get a show of hands from the vendors up there on the stage?
How can we help you? For the clients, how can we help improve the support? Because there's Thank you. Sorry. Thank you for raising your hands. That's great. I am going to point out one on the Microsoft side. The support on Office 365 is definitely a great start, but it's not across the entire product. And we have members in our communities that have to run dual stack in order to adopt the technology. And it's costly to do that. So how can we help? It's a little bit opaque on how to get these requirements or these concerns into your folks in your community. It'd be very helpful to hear your thoughts on that. Not just you, but anyone else too.
I think that's where we're seeing the role of the NREN as being very valuable. That a consolidated set of detailed requirements, feedback, complaints from a community, especially a global community, can actually have some real impact on the product teams. With individual customers, even individual countries, is often not enough scale to provide a set of requirements to actually drive something. So the Office 365 identity stuff, there was enough feedback, and I think a lot of it was driven by work we were doing with Internet too, that actually got that into the global Office 365 product. That's a big product. Anything that goes in there is very carefully thought through. So we do need detailed feedback, and I think the NRENs is a good aggregation point for that for us as a communication channel. So.
If I can add to this, what we've seen working together on this in GEANT for a little over a year now, this really helps because we now speak with one voice as a community to these cloud providers, and we've been able to aggregate demand and leverage this towards these providers. But I agree, it's difficult, and we as a community should be as focused as we can to get the word out to these cloud providers to get what we need. Sorry.
Thank you. Victoria Rao Elsevier. We are a service provider, and I took over the federated authentication about 2 years ago, 2.5 or so. It's interesting to see that our usage, shibboleth authentication usage from researchers and universities, about 2% comparing to the IP authentication. So I just want to bring up again and second on how valuable the NREN's role is in unifying authentication authorization infrastructure and encouraging researchers and universities to use the same identity across all the service providers.
Thanks. I'm looking for somebody from the GEANT team. Anne, maybe you can give us quickly some numbers about GEANT and our reach. My reach isn't that long but I'm gonna walk up to you.
I'm going to go off scope a little bit and talk not just about GEANT, which is the interfederation or sort of pan-European or global aspect of this, but identity federations in total. So whether you're delivering your service at a national level or an international level, the identity federations can get you contact with users in basically everywhere all over Europe. GEANT is a relatively new service, so we've got a fraction of that at the moment. We've got several hundred identity providers joining. But the more services, it's sort of a chicken and egg. The more value services that are there, the greater the benefit to interfederation, and also the more easy we make it for people like you to integrate, the more value our user communities get out of it without being turned into the product.
Thanks. Let's talk about privacy. I think it was over a year ago, TNC 2013, when we gathered in Maastricht. I think it was just after Maastricht that we got the Snowden revelations. I'm curious, everybody here, are you more concerned now about privacy than you were a year ago? Are you more concerned about privacy? Are you more aware of the risks? Or do you feel I've been an expert all along, I knew it, and so who is more concerned now than he was? Shell. You want to repeat this?
I think the best thing that happened from that was the education of the non-educated, or at least informing the non-educated. I think many of the people in our community have been very concerned about, we have within higher education been the standard bearers of privacy for many, many years, far more than many commercial entities. So this has been an area of great concern for us for a long time. I will say it's also an area, you heard from the NREN forum yesterday, the CEO forum, it's also an area we need to invest more in, right? So our paranoia was not enough to get us to invest at the level we probably needed to, even though we were already reasonably knowledgeable about it. So I don't know, if it's sufficient yet. I think are we scared enough? I don't know. I mean, clearly, if we're allowing nation states and corporations to reach agreements that bypass our ability to manage our own privacies, we have a real problem.
Thanks. Simon, you want to respond to this? Yeah, the microphone is coming your way. Thanks. Yep.
Thanks. Yeah, what he said, but of course the Snowden revelations are sort of supporting its unexpected support for those of us who want to build these smaller community clouds. I said personally, I'm very admiring of the big clouds. That's really the ideal that we're striving at. And sometimes I feel bad, like just trying to more or less copy what the huge providers do better. But I think for me what I've been thinking about since the Snowden revelations is that should we try to disperse the targets better, as someone has formulated during the post-Snowden discussion in the IETF. I think maybe some people are right who think the big clouds are becoming too big. I mean, technically, of course, there are very good reasons to have huge clouds and only maybe one or two of them, as we currently have. But of course, that makes them hugely attractive targets for, especially governments, as we see. And there's really nothing that can be done about that. So I think having a future cloud landscape that looks more like the internet landscape looked a couple of years ago with many smaller providers is something that people should be comfortable with, and it's maybe worth sacrificing some of the efficiency of the real big clouds. What do you think?
Anybody from the vendors? What can providers do to take away concerns? Anybody, if you want to respond?
Stay small.
Being an Icelandic company, we certainly have noticed a lot of interest in Iceland as a hosting environment because of privacy concerns since the Snowden incident. And actually, for an example, enterprises, big organization enterprises have, as they are moving into cloud services, probably eventually moving into public cloud service, the IT directors in those organizations saw that they would need to take baby steps towards that. Do private clouds, manage their own infrastructure and manage their own security, because that's what you also do when you run in a public compute cloud, for an example, because you manage your infrastructure. It's in a multi-tenancy environment, and dependent on the cloud provider, how they execute on security, it varies. At Green Cloud, we take our security measures very seriously, and have multiple ways of securing each account in our environment. But we see a lot of drive towards private infrastructure to manage your own security and manage your own hardware.
Kenji, briefly.
Yeah, so obviously on the data center side, we do a lot on security on that side, but particularly around data protection, we do a lot of work. So we just a few weeks ago announced that we are fully compliant with EU model clauses. We're the only cloud provider, public cloud provider that complies with that now. And it took a lot of work. We put a lot of work in there, working with the Commission, a lot of lawyer time, and a lot of technical work as well. So as we know, all the challenges are not technical. And so we understand, largely because we work with large enterprise customers, multinationals, and so we take it very, very seriously.
A couple of minutes left in this session. I want to give you the opportunity to ask the distinguished panelists here.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on that last discussion just one more time. I mean, location of cloud services is not the only determinant in terms of jurisdiction. And as Microsoft knows, a federal court recently ruled that they should reveal data that is in their Dublin data center. So my question is, should GEANT, in order to offer better legal certainty to its customers, be primarily engaging only with European cloud providers?
Branko?
I will say just a few words briefly. I don't think that we should be exclusively for EU, but we should clearly mark this, say, okay, this service is bringing the data is stored here, the company is from US, and all that which comes with that. And the other service is also located in Europe, but the European company that doesn't have these issues with the privacy. So I think that we should all include everything in our catalog, but with clearly marked the difference. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Branko. One final question. Niels, going to give it to you. You've been waiting for this opportunity the whole session, I believe.
Actually, this is more of an internal question for us as NRENs. We are now running a very successful thing through GEANT, engaging with all these cloud providers and stuff. However, GEANT is a project. What will we do when the GEANT project ends? And should we not make sure that we can sustain this activity in a more definite form and shape?
I'm not going to say anything about this, Niels. But maybe Branko has the mic and he feels compelled to say it.
We plan to work on GEANT for next 100 years, so that we don't think that we won't so soon. So as you know, the GEANT 4 is just around the corner, and I think that will be for years and years to come, and the cloud services will be there. So I think that we are safe at least until 2020, and then who knows, maybe we will move to something else and not consume cloud services anymore. Thanks.
And with this, I would like to end the session. That's a nice wrap up. Thank you everybody for participating, and we're happy to work with you on clouds. Thanks. Thanks.
Yes, just before you go, two little reminders to visit the posters and the demos, and also cast your vote on the posters with using your yellow sticker. Thank you.